Hi there, my name is Dougie and today I'll be commentating over an 18 freehold that I did the week of 4/11, the explosive and raging week. The first pull of the dungeon is going to be this one right here. On fortified weeks, you may want to split this up and just do 2 packs and then 1 pack, but if you feel confident, lust here and pull all 3 of these together, kill them, and go to the boss. The 2 enemies you have to worry about in this pack are going to be the bone saws. They have a disease which will reduce healing, and then also a heal that's going to need to be kicked. And then after that, the corsairs, which have a very nasty poison that will need to be dispelled. After this, you'll grab the obelisk and you're going to head down to the boss room. You'll take this pack here. Ideally, you can also take this pack, but it's not as much of a good idea because this pack can be in your way while you're doing the boss. So ideally, you do want to pull this pack. When you fight the boss, if it's on Tyrannical weeks, you'll want to lust around 75%. This is when he's going to hop off of his bird. Uh, but on fortified weeks, it doesn't really matter. It shouldn't be too much of an issue. When doing this boss, it's very important that all of your melee are stacked up together while you have one of your ranged maximum yard away from the boss to bait out the vile slime from the bird, while all other ranged are also max range but in a different area so that they don't get the vile slimes. They can be out, in any position here or down toward the exit is also fine. By doing so, they won't get hit by the Azurite powder shot and they won't take any damage, so they won't need any healing. Ideally, the healer does the baiting job. Afterwards, you're going to be going to the bridge here. There's an enforcer that you're just going to want to skip with a rogue or a mage. If you don't have one, just pick it up. It's not a big deal. You'll take it down to the these enemies here. The main enemies to worry about here is going to be the duelist. He has a dash. It's going to do a line stun toward the position that he marks. And then there's also the oarsman who casts Sea Spout. Sea Spout's going to need to be interrupted. After these are down, you're going to want to pull these knuckle dusters. If you're feeling confident, pull all of it together. As long as the explosive can be taken care of, then the two interrupts and stuns is not too big of a deal. The oarsmans do a shattering bellow, which you're really going to want to stop by interrupting. Other than that, they're not too bad. They despawn a lot of enemies, so explosive can be an issue. Ideally, you're going to want to pull these trappers at some point during this pull as well. There's no reason not to chain pull unless you have a class like an assassination rogue who wants stealth resets. But otherwise, you can pull this vermin trapper pack. When you're pulling the vermin trapper, whenever he goes to cast his rat traps, you're just going to want to move his group away from them. This is to avoid getting hit by the root, because it'll drop in the position that you were at, not the position that you're going. Afterwards, you're going to just kill the obelisk at any point that you want. You can wait and grab some cooldown since it is the Fear Entropic obelisk, but if you're okay with just doing it the way that it is, then pick it up, kill it, and move on to the next packs. These packs here you ideally want to put together. It's not that many enemies. You want to kick the Brine Scales Frost Blast. Ideally, that's going to be the biggest, most important thing. You want to kick everything, but have somebody ready to do the Frost Blast for sure. The Buccaneers are going to do an AoE stun called, or AoE damage ability called Going Bananas. This needs to be interrupted on high fortified. It does a ton of damage, as well during raging. So on Tyrannical weeks, which was the week of 4/11. These enemies are gonna be Eudora and Jolly. You definitely want to save your Bloodlust here, or you want to wait for Bloodlust. So you're gonna end up doing most of this trash before you even do the boss. After these orange packs are dead, you're gonna want to kill these blue packs. You can pull these small neutrals with them too. You'll want to avoid these guys by going up the stairs that are on this little thing and jumping over, or you can just go right across. Sometimes that's also fine. Normally I just go up top to be safe. You're going to want to kill these enemies and then these enemies while avoiding this crusher here. He does a patrol like this, so we're going to want to definitely avoid him. He just has a lot of health, very inefficient enemy to kill with a lot of ways to kill you if you get hit by any of his abilities. This pack here is particularly deadly just because of the nature of the enemies that are in it. The harpooners are going to pull people in, while the Brine Scales are going to then blast them, while the Buccaneers are also going to be AoEing. So be very careful here. This is a very detrimental pack. This Crusher is completely optional. If you have a rogue or a mage, you can have them just pull it away. That's completely fine. That's a little bit tough to do to get also into the obelisk, but if they pull it this way, and then they back up this way with 2 blinks or grappling hook or whatever, while they vanish, they should be able to get into the obelisk no problem. When you get to about this pack's not too deadly as long as all the kicks are getting kicked. You'll have your healer or a stealthy come and pick up and start this RP here. You can have them start this as early as this if you want. Even these enemies are not too bad as long as the kicks are going out, because you want that 50-second RP to start immediately. Once your Bloodlust is up, you're going to want to come back here to Eudora and Jolly. If your Bloodlust is still not up and you're just ready to kill Trothak, it means your DPS is incredible. And, I mean, if that's the case, then good for you. Kill Trothak and come back. After this, you're gonna want to kill Eudora. Jolly and Eudora, I'm going to showcase a way to deal with Jolly's Whirlpool of Blades that I find a lot of tanks don't know. There is a very specific way to handle it, which will make him just pick it back up really quickly, and then it's not too big of a deal. So hopefully we can showcase that well, and we can have more people know how to do that. The powder shot from the boss, Captain Eudora, really hurts. Like, really hurts. If you're playing a warrior tank, you can intercept them on people that are going to get low just by casting intercept on them before it hits them. That will make you eat the shot, which is awesome. Otherwise, we just need to be really careful. One thing to note about Eudora's grape shot where she jumps away is that she always shoots to the right. So the positions are right in the corners, and she always shoots to her right. It's just something to note. After this is all down, you're going to take this obelisk here, and it's going to go all the way up to the top. Now, this route does take the spider with the boss. I think the spider is really low maintenance for every tank. I don't think it's too big of an issue as long as you get your interrupts. You only need 3. If you have all 3 interrupts, you shouldn't have a big deal. If you do have any disease dispels as well, you can be a little bit more cheeky if you have less than 3 dispels, because you can just let one of the diseases go through and have it dispelled instantly. Or curses too, but I think the curse one's a lot more deadly than the disease one. So you're going to kill Harlan Sweete with the spider ad for sure. Once this is down, so when you're doing Harlan, this is also like a really good tip. You typically want to have 2 stack points during the second and third phases of Harlan, so anytime under 66%. When Cannon Barrage happens, you want your entire group to run. That's not what I wanted to do. Run toward the gold, so that all the cannon barrages line up here, and then afterwards you have them all run down to the other circle, and then you repeat that. So on the very next cannon barrage, everyone's going to go up this way, and then after it's over, back down to this one. And by doing that, you're going to have a completely safe pass every time, and then a little bit of play area here in case somebody gets knocked away during, just before a cannon barrage or something like that. After Harlan's down, ideally you only have to kill one of these 2 packs. Sometimes you have to kill both, depending on how your trash works, because sometimes it's more opportune just to grab something with something else, rather than just like following this so explicitly. This dungeon has a lot of really easy percent. There's not a lot of, other than the crushers, the trash is like pretty much similar in difficulty. Oh yeah, there's also all this trash you want to pull, I forgot about that. But you pull this during the intermissions. Ideally, you only have 1 of these packs to do. Sometimes you have 2, but the biggest thing is just not interrupting the Ravagers. They cast this Painful Motivation. If you get unlucky, this Painful Motivation will go on the same units, and then you'll still have to kill a few enemies. But in a perfect world, each of them can affect 3 targets, and they each affect 3 targets, and everything dies. But sometimes you have to kill 3 enemies. Sometimes you have to kill none. Kill these 2 packs, and then your trash will be done, and the dungeon's over. I'm going to kick it over to the video portion of this guide. Thank you very much for listening. See you soon. Hi there. Thank you for watching the first part of my guide in the Method Dungeon Tools portion of it. We're going to get into the live guide now inside of VLC Media Player. So we're just going to start off here, and here we go. So I detailed in the guide that we like to do this first pull all at once. I'm going to keep the speed around 1.5 just to keep the video length a little bit lower. If there's anything particular, I'll note it for sure. So we do like to do this whole thing at once. It can be a little dicey. This is an 18 with Raging and Explosive. Me and the group do a really good job at handling the explosive, so it shouldn't be too much of an issue. You'll notice that I actively am detoxing myself every time that I get the debuffs, and we try to stop the healing bombs every time that we can too. I got a kick there on it. Killing the explosive is really, really important. One does go off, but it's not the end of the world. We do have our healer pumping out pretty good. I'm standing in the goop, which is a really bad idea, but sometimes it just be like that. We do have our balancer and Trents here, just because during this raging part, these guys can be really deadly. You definitely, having a balancer during these parts is awesome, or having like an Ellie or enhancement shaman is pretty sweet too, or Rusty Shaman too. So following this, once these go down in a sec here, our DPS is like pretty solid. If you have like a fire mage or something, this pack goes down really easily. We're going to be taking this obelisk and we take it all the way down to to the first boss, the captain. Just going to speed past this. This breaker can be a big issue for some other tanks. I am lucky enough to be playing a monk. Somebody linked me an item and I wanted to look at it, and then it's stuck on my screen for a while there. It was stuck on my cursor. Monks have a pretty easy time with the tank breaker. I'm pretty lucky. Something, actually, I just saw this. Let's back up. This Dark Fury that casts, I think a lot of people are really scared of it, but if you guys are full life, like, you can eat this. I know your healers may think that you're, like, not playing correctly. I don't do it here because I had the tank debuff, but the DPS should be staying in to eat that, just because if you're full life, it's not killing you unless you're, like, doing an incredibly high key. You just lose time for no reason. You can definitely just sit inside and eat it. So we pull this pack here. This pack's not too bad. The Mastiffs, when they are enraged, really hurt, but they're stunnable, so it's not the worst thing in the world. These Enforcers are pretty good as well when they're enraged. Like, they do a lot of damage, but as long as you're paying attention to the facing, they're not too bad. On the bottom right there, you see I have the explosive damage taken set, so like in my details. So if you're curious about who's doing the most explosive damage, it's over there on the top right bars that I have set up. Alright, so here we are going to be using our Bloodlust around the 75% mark when the boss comes down. Now, we don't exactly do this boss the way that I described it, even though we should have. We have our healer out on the right side here. You can see her out there, baiting the charges. Granted, I guess you don't technically need to be doing it right now. Maybe he does actually go out there. Let's see. Because ideally you want the whole group to be 40 yards if they're ranged. So yeah, so we have our, okay, good. Our holy, the roles here should be reversed. Our Resto Druid should be doing what the Bounce Druid's doing, because the Bounce Druid will be taking damage occasionally, so you definitely want the healer to be doing it. And then if you do it like this, then the healer still has to get back in range anyway, so it kind of defeats the purpose. But anyway, you'll have one of your ranged out soaking the Vile Bombardment that's going to go down. And then your other ranger should be the opposite side where the healer was originally. This is a completely safe zone. As long as you're max range, you will take no damage from anything. The Vile Bombardment would hit you, the powder shots will hit you, so you're completely safe. You have no reason to ever get hit. So you really ideally want to have that set up, your healer out here with all your other ranged DPS out in the corner. Just going to speed ahead a little bit here. Not much more to see for this guy, so we're just going to take him here. We do not have an invisibility, like I noted in the Method Dungeon Tools portion of the guide. So we are just going to take this Enforcer. We're not going to like waste our time trying to do weird, sketchy skips for no reason. We just take it with us, and I just provoke spam it so it goes really fast. I was waiting there to cast Ring of Peace in case it started doing its little backhand, just because it's not moving, so it's wasting time. I do like to pull all this together with Twilight Devastation and stuff. This stuff can go down really, really, really fast, and we kick the Sea Sprout there, and I push the Duelist Dash. That's very important that those abilities don't go off. They just do a ton of damage, and they can be really, really, really detrimental to your group's health. So we take the Vermin pack here and all the Knuckle Dusters. I find that this pack just goes down really, really quickly. The Rat Trappers. I didn't move from the Rat Trappers. I'm not really sure why. Maybe it's because I just have cooldowns and I'm not worried about dying. So I was like, there's no reason to move. We get a lot of explosive here, but we clean it up really easily, which is nice. Our Havoc Demon Hunter's doing an excellent job at taking care of those. So the bellows there are definitely being interrupted, which is great. Here I roll my cooldowns now because I'm worried. So the thing from Beyond spawns and I'm really worried. I get stuck which is just excellent. Definitely got stuck in there. Thought that was great. I was really ballsy and went back in there. I really shouldn't have done that. I was like 50,000 health, but I decided to go back in because why not, I guess. I AoE the training dummy here, so I can't go inside. Kind of silly of me. I should have stopped casting Rushing Jadewind knowing I was about to go in. We don't take this Fear guy anywhere, so we actually just keep him here and we just take down the ads really quick. They do a ton of damage once they're raging, so you definitely want to have a cooldown ready and have them stunned and stuff so they're not restacking the debuff while they're raging. It can just do an astronomical amount of damage. You definitely don't want to have them attacking you. When you're using the Fear guy here, if you have a Shaman, it's great. You can just Tremor every third or fourth Fear, depending. But you always want your healer to be dispelling the tank. If the tank is not available, then you want to have the healer dispelled, and if neither of them are available, then choose your highest DPS. You do this just because it does a lot of damage to the tank. He can't dodge, parry. It doesn't matter for some tanks, like a Bear Druid would probably have a pretty okay time just eating the Fear because of all the armor and stuff, but for tanks that rely on mitigation like dodging, like monks do, then it's really bad because you cannot dodge while that's happening. We do a little bit of a larger pull here. It's not as large as it could be. There's sometimes I also pull the neutrals with this, but because of explosive, it's like there's a good chance that I'll just scuff it and die because they'll pop a bunch of explosive and our bounce druid's not close enough to kill them all. We get a little more Trent play here, which is awesome. I love Trents. It's like my favorite thing about Balance Druids, is that they get to have Trents. It's a pretty large DPS loss over Nature's Balance from what I've been told, but on some weeks it's like you can have a little more DPS or your tank can die, so it's not really much of an argument. You typically will just run the Trents and it's not too big of a deal. I was a little ahead of my group here. Something that I have a big problem with as a monk tank is I just cheat torpedo around and I'm way too fast. My healer tells me all the time that I'm ranging her, but you know I need to work a little better on that, so I'm not ranging everybody to ensure that I don't get killed by water bolts and stuff on high fortified weeks. The week of recording this, it is going to be the Sanguine Grievous fortified week. I'll need to be a lot more careful because Grievous plus fortified is not the funnest combination in the world. So here, I believe I pulled both of these packs. I do this just for the sake of time. Like, I felt that we had no opportunity of dying to this pack. So I was like, we may as well just pull both. And then I think I actually died to this pack. I think. Don't quite remember. Because it does get a little dicey here at the end, I think. But for the sake of time, killing 5 enemies versus killing 12 enemies or 20 enemies, typically they're about the same. Like, you don't actually lose a lot of time. Actually, this pack went fine. I'm not sure what I'm remembering. Maybe it was a different Freehold key I did. We did lose a little bit of time here, which really sucked, but killing this guy's got 7 million health. There's just no reason to waste our time trying to kill him. We just wait and go around. I pull this pack back because I'm ahead of the group here, so I just pull them in line of sight so that the casters can get over to me really quickly. We don't interrupt the Frost Blast there. That's because everything was on cooldown. We all interrupted different things, so it's just a mistake. I didn't use my leg sweep, which I should have. Frost Blast almost killed the whole group there, which is not good. Here, ideally, I should have had my healer run off and start the dog RP, but I definitely just forgot to tell her to go do that, so that's my fault. This pack here, I don't pull the Crusher with it. I think it's just a little bit of a deadly pack. I just pull the Crusher a little bit later. As long as the brine scales get interrupted, this pack is not that deadly. Then the going bananas also gets taken care of, then it's not too bad. Our Lust is coming up in 5 seconds here, so we run back over to the council boss and we're going to take care of them now. So here I'm going to show how Jolly's Whirlpool of Blades should be handled. I do it pretty well, if I recall. There's a little bit of a curve to learning how to do it, so we're going to put it down to regular speed while he does it. I do eat the grape shot, which was stupid, but that's because the boss went into a weird position. So you see here, go ahead and stop this. If you line it up so that it's you, the boss, and then it's coming in like completely straight into you linearly like this, you can just sit right in the actual blade as it gets towards you, and then it just gets picked up. You'd think that it's going to do damage to you because you're inside of it, but for some reason it gets close enough that it gets like removed or something. I'm not exactly sure how that works, but it's basically just doesn't do any damage. So you can just have it get picked up and you're good. We're going to do the same thing here. I'm just going to line it up so that it's completely straight. He'll pick it up. I don't have to move it. I don't take any damage from it. So that's really important. I think that's like a really interesting way to handle it that I don't know a lot of people do. So yeah, that's something that I notice a lot of people don't do, and I think that's really important. I definitely noticed that I said something. I said in the video that she shoots to the right, but she definitely shoots to the left. I'm not sure why I said the right. That was very much incorrect of me. Okay, so she shoots to the left. I don't know why I thought she shoots to the right. So here I try to do it again, and it seems like I do it well. One of these I scuffed up pretty badly, and I took damage from it. Now that's kind of the scare, is that if you take damage from it on a tyrannical week, it can do a lot of damage to you, like a lot. So you definitely want to be very careful of that on high tyrannical. But I'd say most of the time I'm confident enough to know how to do it. It can be a little annoying for like the second or two it's in your melee's face, but the thing is, like, you're saving that extra 10 seconds until the next one comes out. Like, I think it's just a good way to handle it for sure. We're gonna go ahead and speed ahead here now. There's not much more to see for the boss. We have a couple packs to do before Trothak, so we're gonna be heading over there now. You also want to make sure you're standing in this barrel. Barrel's a free 10% damage increase, which is awesome. The Crusher was in a good spot, so we were able to just run right past it. We pick up these two and we start the role playing now. Corruption is being my best friend here and slowing the heck out of me. I pull another Crusher here just because having two of them is a little bit more efficient than just having one. On high fortified weeks, you will not pull these. They just have too much health and do way too much damage. You ideally don't want to pull either of them, but if you don't have a stealth class, you don't have any choice but to pull at least one of them. Even on fortified, if we have two druids, and it's not that bad if you have two druids, because of course just soothing is awesome. They can soothe off all their enrages. Raging is not too much of an issue. So we're gonna go ahead and probably do one more pack here and then do lightning. Maybe we're just gonna do lightning instead. Oh yeah, we're pretty much good for percentage, so we're just gonna do lightning. And then we pick some of these guys up. Probably gets us to like 98% or so, and then killing the last guy, Ludwig, will get us to 100%, and then we're done for trash count. We don't have to do anything at the end. This was a touch inefficient. I could have done one or two less neutrals, and then I would have been at like 97%. This guy would have got us to, actually, you probably didn't have to do half those neutrals. To get us to like 96%, this guy gets us to 97.5, and then each of the last guys I think is up 1.2% each or so in this dungeon. So that would have got us to 100% for sure. But tomato, we had downtime anyway. There was just time we had to wait. We had no choice. So we could have waited, at different times and done different. There's just other ways we could have saved time here for sure. But the key went like relatively well, so I'm not too worried about it. This key on a 19 would have been just the same. Even a 20 would have been pretty much just the same, I think. So it's not like a huge time loss. Let's skip ahead to Trothak. There's not much to say about this boss. He throws his sharks typically at the farthest person. I don't know if there's a reason that he doesn't throw it at the farthest person, but that's just what I've noticed. After every tornado, he's gonna pick up the shark that he put up the oldest. The oldest shark gets picked up, and as you see there, he will knock anyone back that's in his way. So you definitely don't want to be in between the boss and the shark. That's a mistake on my part for positioning like that. I should have noticed. On Tyrannical, it's a very important thing that you don't screw that up. As a tank, you can pretty much just eat these. They don't do any damage, which is nice. I just popped Dampen Harm because, I mean, he's not really like in fear of anything after that. I do throw some heals that are Demon Hunter because he got hit by some stuff, so I wanted to make sure he doesn't die. The boss, he's not going to kill me if I cast a Vivify really quick, so I wasn't too worried. Try to get a cheeky paralysis on that guy, but I was too close. I didn't realize, and my rushing Jade Wind just smacked it really quick. That was stupid of me. My most weak aura sucks. It just doesn't work sometimes, and it just gets stuck on my screen, and then I don't know where my cursor is. It like bugs it out really bad. Something I'll have to work on. Probably just get a new one. But whatever. So after we're done with Trothak, which will be just in a second here, we're going to skip ahead. There's not much more to see. We go ahead and take this blob obelisk. There's a couple ways to handle the blob. I mean, it's up to you how you want to handle it. A lot of people like to do the line of sight strategy, where they'll just line of sight immediately. Like they'll just run away from it 40 yards. They all stack together and you AoE them down. That's probably the smartest strategy for sure. We don't always employ that, so that's kind of on us to handle that better in terms of coordination. But it doesn't lose too much time, I don't think, because the amount of running and stuff. We had a pretty good spread cleave there from the bounce druid. He did a lot of damage. I got stuck again. It's just my favorite thing. I accidentally snapped that guy. I didn't realize I could snap there, so that's something interesting to realize, that you can snap on some of these bridge spots. I spam provoke here just to keep him running and keep my threat up. Sometimes I just hover over him just to see if I have enough threat. One of my add-ons tells me that I have a lot of threat, so I'm okay. I think it's ID tip that does that. We take care of this guy, and then we get ready to pull Harlan. I believe I have my balance druid take the first interrupt. You do not need to have everyone out of the zone in order to pull here. I'm not sure what I'm waiting on, but I'm waiting on something. Oh, my healer is probably getting mana. So our balance druid gets the first interrupt here. I walk up and I get the second interrupt. Actually, it looks like our demon hunter gets it. I get ported there because this game is awesome. And then we just cycle interrupts from here on. They have a pretty low amount of health, so it's not too bad. One of the interrupts goes off there, and I quickly detox our shaman. I was curious why I was doing so much damage, and I was like, oh yeah, Twilight Devastation's overpowered, that's why. So the remainder of this is going to just be taking care of Harlan. Let's just speed it up a little. There's not much to see for Harlan. This is part of the strategy I was trying to implore in the video, or in the first part of this video, is that you have everyone stacked together and then move up. We didn't exactly have everybody do that, so it wasn't. It's not a good demonstration of how to do it, but you know, it's the idea that's there. As the tank, you don't have to follow them. You can just go straight to the other side. You do not put cannon barrage down. But ideally, you have the whole group stacked together. We're going to start seeing it now with this cannon barrage. I think he actually skips it. So here it comes here. We'd have everyone walk out together. Our healer's a touch out of position. But there's still a little bit of room down there, so I still pull the boss in there. Doesn't really matter at that point. It pretty much works the same way. Throw a couple of heals just in case, because I'm worried. This one kind of rolls the same way, just a touch out of position, but it's not too bad. Like it's the main area was still completely safe, so it doesn't matter. My camera view is fantastic here, truly the best. Here I run around and someone picks up that explosives because I can't do it. Still getting like decent ones here. The Add runs into our healer, I think, there, and she dies, which really sucks. We get her picked up, and no big deal. We pop cooldowns again. We should have re-bloodlusted here. I don't know if we did or didn't, because we do have bloodlust up, but whatever. So because of that, we did all the trash earlier. That's it. 18's done. Definitely could have been done on 19, I think. Maybe a 20 would have been a little close to the timer, but I think with that extra bloodlust at the end there, it wouldn't have been too bad. I do get a dice. I give it to our shaman. She wants it. So, that's alright. Thank you very much for watching. I would love any critique on the setup for this. I had an idea for another setup where we would do the whole dungeon in sections. I would show a section of the route and then show the video portion of it instead, alongside that, instead of doing one half then the other. They would kind of be more intertwined. I'd love to hear your thoughts on that. I'm not sure if that's going to be a really good way to do it, but it sounds very interesting. Please, if you like the content, hit me with a subscribe, like the video for sure. And if you want to see more, I stream on Twitch a couple days a week, like Friday, Saturday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, almost every day of the week. Uh, Typically around like 10:30 Eastern, I'll be on for sure. Late nights, 1:30 sometimes, etc. You can catch me at twitch.tv/realduckytv. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope you have a great day.